want you to start by thinking about your posture. Feet are hip width apart, shoulders back, fingertips in line with the seams of the trousers, and really be aware of where your feet are. Are they turning out? Are they too wide? Where is the weight? Have a little bit of shift of the weight front to back, just a very small movement. And side to side, so just see with your balance left and right. Come back center, engage your core. So with this, think about pulling in from the side as if you're doing up a belt or a slightly tight pair of jeans. Bracing those abdominals, pulling up the pelvic floor, shoulders back. You're taking the shoulders back and down as if you're putting them down in your back pocket without lifting the rib cage. And then be aware of where your hips are. Are you sticking your bum out or are you standing forward on your hips? Come back to that perfect posture. Now from there, let's do a little bit of movement. Breathing out with effort. So we're going to breathe out as we lift the arm up. Just float up with the breath. In as you bring the arm back down. Breathing out as you lift. In as you bring the arm back down. Keep going. Taking the arms above the head to the side now. So just as high as is comfortable, getting some mobility in the shoulders. With the breath, so breathing out as you lift. And in as you return back down. Coming back to the feet. I'm going to turn sideways but stay facing. I want you to come up onto your toes and drop the alternating heel. So we're keeping the pelvis as still as you can. Jude, if that one's too much for you, then just take it to trying to lift the feet off the ground and keeping the pelvis still. But everybody else, try and start up on your toes and get that movement. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to lift and lower on both feet. So again, Jude, if you want to stay with the previous one, do what feels best for your body. We're trying to keep the pelvis still. You're engaging the core nice and slowly, really working those calf muscles. Okay, I'm going to change slightly. I want you to bring the arms up in front and back down. We're going to lift up with a little back bend and then a little sit back. Now I want you to sit back as if you're sitting in a chair. Watch your knees. Your knees need to stay above or slightly behind your toes. So it's not here, it's back. We're not trying to lean forward. You are going to lean forward, but I want you to think as if you're sitting back in a chair. Arms up, a little bit of a back bend. Reach. Getting some mobility through the body. It's slow and controlled, both directions. And then circle the arms backwards. If that feels too much, you can keep it at shoulders. And release. Okay, taking the fingertips in line with the seams of the trousers again. Take those shoulders back and down as if they're in your back pockets. And we're going to do a small side bend. So just think of keeping the hips where they are, stretching through this side of the body as you lift up. So you don't have to lift your elbow. You can just take the reach down. So I'm just reaching down towards my knee, stretching through the side of the body. And if you want, you can take a little reach out to the side. But again, it's the opposite side of the body. It's this side. I'm looking for a stretch in. The rest really is just adding a little bit of weight to the arm. Should be comfortable. We're just warming up here. And let's take it to a twist. So I like to let my feet and knees go here. Again, Jude, if you're happier just keeping it small and keeping it up here, fine. But everybody else, just let it go down through the hips, through the knees, and get some mobility in that whole body. And then take it to a circle of the hips, or I'm doing a figure 8. You can keep it as a circle one way and the other, whatever feels best for you. Okay, coming back center. We're going to do the dumb waiter. So for this one, I want you to have your hands as if you're placing a tray on them. So 90 degrees at the elbows, and you're not going to come anywhere inside of there. You're not going to let your hands cross the body. So the elbows are back in here, and we're opening out to the side. We're coming from straight out to the side and back to pointing forward. So the hands are in line with the shoulders when you come back, not crossed across the body. So it really is, and you're making that movement come from the shoulder. So we're opening out from the shoulders, shoulder rotation. Now, while you're doing this, have another think about your posture. Are your feet pointing forward? Quick check. Is your chin retracted? Are your shoulder blades down as if they're in your back pockets? Is the weight even on both feet? Have you engaged your core? Okay, let's take that out to Cleopatra. So we're going to reach out to the side as far as is comfortable. If you can go all the way, that's great. If you can't, don't worry. Bring it back in. Coming back in line, flip the hands, and off we go again. And taking it out, reaching as far as is comfortable. Coming back in. Hands in, and flip. Taking it out, and reach. Bring it back in, and flip. One more, last one. And release. A little bit of a shake, maybe circle the shoulders back. I'm next going to go into the VW. You can stay standing. I'm going to kneel down so that you can see what I'm doing. Block here. I'm going to kneel on my block. So, arms up into this sort of V position. Keep the rib cage down, and you're going to pull back first without lifting anything, and then take the elbows down into this sort of W. So again, you're sliding those shoulder blades down your back as if they're going into your pockets, and then reaching back up nice and wide, but all the time you're pulling back and sliding down. If it gets a little bit too much for your arms, by all means stop. Have a quick look at your feet. Very briefly, check your posture, watch you're not standing forward, give it a shake out. So those that can, Pilates roll down to the floor. If you're not happy doing the roll down, then just get down onto the floor. But one vertebrae at a time, do it 2 or 3 times. So you're going to go down slowly, as far as is comfortable, and then slowly rolling back up. going to come to seated. So if you've got a block or a towel, grab that. Right. Bear with me a second. Just bear with me a second, ladies. If you can, get down on the floor, sit on your block if you need to, and go into a nice hamstring stretch, so feet hip width apart. Karen's struggling to find us. So you're all got a nice hamstring stretch. So here, I want you to be really aware of what you're doing with your body. Is your lower back rounding back? If it is, I can't do that because my body really doesn't go that way. If you are, you need to be sitting on a block. You're sitting as upright as possible, feeling that stretch. Lovely. Okay, I'm back with you. I've sent it to Carol again because she came on and then disappeared, and then saying there's no one there. So I don't quite know what's going on. Okay, so from there, I want you to think about lifting one foot off the floor. So what we're doing, you may need to lean back slightly, is lifting one leg and then the other. This is working those hip flexor muscles. And if you can hold it for a while, hold it. And release. And one more each side. And then I'm going to get you to take those legs nice and wide. So again, if you need to sit on your block, if you feel like you're slumping back, you need to tilt your pelvis forward slightly and possibly sit on your block or towel. Sit tall. Make sure you've got enough space. I'm going to have to come forward a little bit. Arms wide. First of all, so Liz, be a little bit cautious with this one, but everybody else should be relatively okay. Jude, obviously, if you need to take your legs in a bit or adjust it, then please do. Arms wide. Reaching down towards your toe. Now, as you go down, don't allow your hip to come off the ground. We wanted to get a little bit of rotation in the spine. Come back center. Liz, you're going to keep this one slow, please. Take it as far as is comfortable. If that's only your knee, that's fine. Nice and slow and controlled. Breathing out as you go down. Keeping the hips on, both hips on the floor, both sit bones on the floor. Coming wide. Breathing out as you go down. Opening wide, breathing down as you go down. Hi, Karen. Sorry about that. Just keep it really gentle to start with. I will take into account, we're going to go onto the floor, so I'll do a second type of warm-up. And I haven't filmed this, so I will send you the first part of the workout. and release. Okay, opening wide. So from there, for all of you, but also so that Karen can join back in without feeling that she's starting off with us all warmed up. If you need to use a block or towel, remember it's a small one. Lying down, feet hip width apart, and think about your posture on the mat. So you're still going to engage your core. Your feet are still hip width apart. You're not going to allow your knees to drop in. You've got your neutral spine. And then what I want you to do is tilt the pelvis. So you're going to tilt it back to push the small of the back into the mat. Keeping the bottom relaxed. Make this all come from the back. Arch the other way. It might be a really tiny movement. And if you've got any pain in your lower back, make it smaller. It doesn't have to be a big move. I know I've got quite a big arch in mine, and I know Anne will find this quite easy, but the rest of you might find it's a much smaller movement. And come back center. So from here, these hip bones, if you put your hands on your hip bones, you should have that diamond. If you take that diamond shape, you should be level. You're not allowing it to tip back. You're not tipping the pelvis the other way. Nice and neutral. Once you've got that position, take your fingertips underneath if it's comfortable. I'd rather you did, but if it isn't comfortable, put the hands in a comfortable position. Feel what's going on with your back. You want to keep it still as you do those leg slides. So here you're really trying to control the core. Core's engaged. You breathe out as the leg slides away. In as the foot comes back. Out as the leg slides away. In as the leg slides back. I'm going to change it after the next one, so even up both sides. There should be no movement at all in the lower back. Bring your fingertips onto the top of those bony protrusions on the top of your hips so that you can feel what's going on. And we're going to do a knee drop. So the knee drops out to the side. Now watch as you do this, that you're not allowing this hip bone to drop. So it's all coming. It won't necessarily be very far. You're trying to keep the other leg still. If it's wobbling like mine was there, push the other heel into the ground. It will help engage your core. Come back center. So here we're trying to get mobility in the hip joints. Shouldn't be painful. If it is, ease off, make it smaller. Now for the next one, I'm going to suggest, Jude, for your bad hip, you stick with just leg slides, because I don't think it's going to do it any good at all. But on your good side, and on everybody else, we're going to take that knee out to the side and then slide that foot straight away from you, straighten it up and bring it back in. Same on the other side. So I'm dropping the leg down to the side. I'm sliding it straight towards the screen. I'm straightening it up, sliding it back the second half of a leg slide. Taking it out to the side, sliding that foot forward. So it's getting some rotation in the hip. If anyone finds that really uncomfortable, just stick with your leg slide or your knee drop out to the side. One more each side. And then we're going to come into the bridge. So, feet and knees hip width apart. If you want to here, you can put your towel or block between your knees just to get a little bit of support. Here, if you've got a block or towel under your head, I would take it away. And I want you to do is put your hands on your bony protrusions, elbows off the floor, and we're going to lift. We're going to hinge up as high as is comfortable off the floor. weights evenly in both feet. And as you breathe in, come back down. Do another one like that while I just shuffle down. In a little bit of space above your head, I want you to come up. Float the hands above the head, just as far as they will go. Bring the hands back onto the thighs. And hinge gently back down. So as you do this, what I want you to do is think about squeezing the buttocks. Squeeze the buttocks as you lift. Taking the arms gently above the head. Coming back. And back down. We give it a little bit of a rest for a moment, bringing the knees into the chest. And rock them, and then we're going to go back. And this time we're going to concentrate, instead of on the buttocks, on pelvic stability. So same move, different focus. Back a bit again so you can see my hips a bit better than this one. So again, elbows stay off the floor. You're going to come up. And then what I want you to do is keep the pelvis where it is and take the weight off the heel of your right foot. So Jude, again, you might not be able to do this one, in which case stay with the lift and lower to get some movement in the body and strengthen the buttocks. But try and take the weight off without that hip dropping. If your hip is dropping, then you need to ease off and just make it about changing the weight into maybe the heel or the toe. But if you can take the weight just slightly off the floor, really, really engage that core. To do that, take it back down. You might want to rest in between. You might want to hug your knees in between. And then come back to the other side. Again, hinge up. When you get to the top, hold, engage the core, and then without allowing that to drop, take the heel off the ground. If you're able to, really controlling the core, lift a little bit higher, and drop, bring it down. Hug the knees in. Let's give it a little bit of roll, bit of a break. We're going to move on to the tummy. So for this one, I want you to come back into roughly the same position, hug the knees in. If you're happy lifting your head off the ground for this one, do. If you're not, you might want to stick your block or towel under your head just to raise it slightly. We can do single leg stretch. So you're hugging in. One leg, left leg with the left hand, right arm goes away. Right hand goes across to the other foot as you stretch out at about 45 degrees. Breathe in, breathe out. So the outside hand holds the knee, the inside hand reaches towards the foot. Breathing in. When you've had enough rest, if at any time your head gets to be too much, feels too heavy, then please put it down and rest the head. Keep those legs going. You're going to feel it in your abdominals. Make sure you're engaging that core and breathing. But you also might feel it in your hip flexors. Okay, hugging the knees in. From there, I want you to stick your hands underneath your knees. So underneath here. And we're just going to take one leg up at a time. So we're trying to get that leg, if you can, straight, directly above your head. If your hamstrings are tight, you're not going to get the leg quite straight. That's fine too. Just get that movement in. A little bit of a stretch in the back of the leg. So it's a very short stretch. Now, Jude, I'm going to suggest you probably want to stay with that version. Again, I'll leave it up to you, listen to your body, but I think this isn't going to work for you. Rest of you, take it up with your feet directly above your hips. So your knees are going to be slightly bent. Cross the ankles one way, and you're going to take the knees out towards your shoulders. So if I turn around, take it out towards the shoulders. So we're going to really work your inner thighs. But you can stay with the previous exercise. Just in case anyone's still watching, I'm bringing it back. I'm trying to take the feet straight up towards the ceiling and then down towards my bottom. So the weight of the legs is over the body. Next time, cross the ankles the opposite way and off you go again. A few more when you've had enough. Hug your knees into your chest. How are we all doing there? Right, so we're now going to turn onto our sides to do some leg work. So I'm not going to do the clam today, we're going to do a straight leg lift. Towel underneath the head, so ideally we want to keep the head in alignment when we're lying down. Elbow under if you need to. Starting off in a nice straight line. So watch your not jack now. If your feet are forward, your legs are back. Weight of the hand in front. That's going to stop you leaning forward. Watch that top foot, that it's not dropped towards you. Lift the waist away from the floor. Extend that leg away. Now, once you're in that straight position, if you need to, bend the bottom knee to give yourself a little bit more stability. And we're going to lift and lower that top leg. I'm actually going to turn around and do it the other way because I think you're going to see me better against the turquoise than the brown curtain. And now again, as you do this, you need to make sure you're working the side of the leg. So your foot and hip, your foot stays parallel. And make sure that when you're twisting it that way, you're twisting from the hip to lift, not just the ankle. The ankle is relaxed. It's nice and soft at the ankle. When you've had enough, rest. Give it a little bit of a stretch forward. Give it a little bit more time if anybody wants to do a couple more. And we're going to come back to that position. Bring that elbow in front of you. If you remember in class, quite often I get you to bring that elbow in front 90 degrees. I want that in front now because you're going to lift a little way. You're going to bring that knee towards the elbow. You're going to push away and drop. You're going to lift. You're going to pull in. You're going to push and drop. Lift. Pull in. Push and drop. Again, once you've had enough, rest. And Jude, do as much as you can, but if you're better off just doing the lift and lower on your bad side, that's fine. Okay, from there, make sure you've got enough room behind you. I'm going to have to shift you forward. You want to go to that 90 degrees. If you've got a block or towel or cushion, you want your head on front of the block, fingertips touching, going into that arm opening. And then back into the bookcase there. I haven't given myself enough space. Fingertips touching at the front, got about 90 degrees. So watch those knees are forward. I can't see everybody's knees. So getting rotation, it's getting a nice stretch through the spine. It's really opening up through the rib cage. Think about opening up across the chest. It's not about touching the hand to the floor, keeping the palms to the ceiling, just getting as much stretch across your chest. This is what we're looking to do. Beautiful. Okay, lovely. So from there, I want you to roll onto your front briefly. We're going to do a little kick. So it's as if you're trying to kick your bottom. Kick, kick, release, kick, kick. And then in your own time, roll round onto the other side to do the opposite leg. So a little bit awkward. Depends which way you're facing, but if you're facing me, that'll be quite easy. You'll just roll onto the other side. If you're sideways to the camera, then you're going to have to turn to the other side. Again, towel under the head, straight arm out, starting in that straight line. Watch that you're not dropped back or forward. Watch you're not jackknifed. Take that top foot away so the ankles are in alignment. Foot parallel to the floor, so you're working the side of the side of your leg, where the seam of your trousers is or would be. We're going to lift and lower. Keep that waist lifted off the floor. If you need to bend the bottom knee slightly for support, that's fine. Doesn't matter where it is, as long as you get that nice stable base so that all the movement is coming in the hip. Shouldn't be painful. If it is, make it smaller. You do as many as you're comfortable doing. I'm going to leave a little bit longer for people who want to do a few more. Those that have had enough can come forward, give it a rub if you want to. Stretch it out, give it a rest. Coming back into alignment, the elbows up in front. You're going to lift knee to elbow, straight and lower. That foot stays parallel with the ground. And lower, lift, pull it in, out, and lower. Anyone's finding that too difficult, just stick with the previous move, just lift and lower. From here, again, when you've had enough, rest it out. And then you're going to come forward with both arms, grab your towel or block. Remember, head on the front of the block, you're going to let the head go back as you roll out. And open, and you're going to open up across the chest. Those knees are forward 90 degrees just to anchor you. Now if you find that top knee's moving, you can always use the bottom hand to grab that leg to give you a little bit of a stretch across the rib cage, opening up across the chest, opening up through the rib cage. Beautiful. Okay, next bit is for some arm strength. So what I want you to do is sit with your hands pointing towards the body. So hands towards the body, back. Now if you want to, if it hurts your wrists, if you know you've got problems with getting your hands back, you can always roll your towel or use the edge of your block just to allow those fingers to come a little bit further down. And what I want you to do, if you can, feet hip width apart, is take the bottom off the floor and take the weight into the arms. Now if that's too much, the easier option is to come back seated, but if you can, I'd like you to come up to here. And then those that want a little bit more, try taking one or both legs away. So we're looking for a straight line, head should be relaxed, feeling that in the arms and shoulders, hands directly underneath. Again, if it gets too much, ease back and have a quick peep. So you know you've got your options. You can keep down the whole time and just, this is your easy option. Your next one up is to be here. Rest when you need, Come back when you're ready. Hands out in front. Sorry, legs out in front even if you wish, or even just one at a time. But the whole idea of this really is getting the movement in the back of the arm. When you lift the legs up, you're actually bringing the buttocks and the whole of the back into play as well. Beautiful. Okay, coming back up, let's give those arms a little bit of a stretch. Sit comfortably. I'm just sitting on my knees, which isn't always the most comfortable for most people I know. Sit comfortably, or even kneel up. Hand onto the shoulder. You're going to let it slide, and you're going to push that elbow. So you can have the arm straight, doesn't really matter, but I like to put the hand on the shoulder because it keeps that elbow at a nice height. And you're getting a stretch around the shoulder. And we're going to hold that for a moment. Taking the arm up and back down, pull back. And release. Let's change arms. This arm this time goes onto the shoulder. Let it slide. You push to stretch through the shoulder. So you're feeling the stretch around here. So it's the same stretch. If you're happier doing it this way, that's fine with the straight arm. You want to be feeling that stretch in your shoulder. And release, taking that arm up and back. Hold here. Those of you that are really flexible might be able to grab behind, but if you can't grab, you're better off staying with the easier version, because all you're going to do is contort your body and not get the stretch in the arm. So therefore here. Okay, and release. I'm going to do a stretch across the chest as well. Hands behind, so you think as if you're reaching back behind you to grab a chair and stretch without lifting that rib cage. So keep the rib cage down, stretch back. You're going to stretch, squeezing the ball together. Now you have a choice. You can stay in that position and stretch. If you're able to, clasp the hands together. I like one on top of the other and lift. Just lift and stretch, squeezing those shoulder blades together, stretching across the chest. Release. What I'm going to do next is we're going to do a whole load of more stretches on the floor, and then we'll come up to do some balance work. So if you know you normally need to sit on a block, I'm going to, because it's a bit drafty here, I'm going to sit on my block, legs out straight in front. Sit tall. Watch you're not letting the feet drop out, so they're coming straight forward. I want to see if you can see it. So this leg, you're going to bend in. I think that's probably your right leg. Taking it across. Hug with the opposite arm and hug it in. This hand goes behind. So you should be feeling that stretch in the side of the hip here. If you've got it right, don't worry if you've gone the wrong way, because we're going to go both ways anyway. Taking the head over the shoulder, give it a stretch. Release. Let's take it back the other way. Elbow on the inside. Now watch here that you don't let that knee drop down. Keep it upright. Elbow on the inside. I like to hold my ankle. Hand again behind the bottom. Sit tall, and then a little bit of rotation. But make it more about the resistance of the elbow against the knee, and a little bit of rotation, putting the shoulder back and the head follows. And release. Same leg, you're going to drop out to the side if you can. So again, Jude here, if that really is uncomfortable, just stay in this position and get you stretching your hamstring on the other side. But try and take that leg out to the side. Just the one opening out. So you might find your knees all the way up there. I think mine will be on the other side. Just getting a little bit of a stretch. Sitting tall. So again, Judith, or anyone who's finding that really uncomfortable. I know Barbara sometimes doesn't like some of these outwards positions. If that's uncomfortable, keep both legs straight, but I want you to sit tall, face the leg that's straight, and ease forward. Now you're folding from the waist, so it's not about the chin. Keep the chin retracted. You're not going to round the upper back. You're going to fold from the waist. So it's a small movement. And release back. Okay, from there. Change legs. So you're going to straighten the other leg. You're going to bend in, which I think is your left leg this time. But it's the leg on this side is bent. You're going to take that leg over. The hand on this side is going to hold. You're going to pull that across to feel that stretch in the hip. Sitting tall, hand comes behind the bottom, centre of the bottom. And then you're going to give it a little bit of rotation, pulling the shoulder back, letting the head follow. And taking it back around the other way. Elbow on the inside of the knee, watch not letting it drop, foot stays flat on the floor. And again, hand close to the bottom, the back, and a small rotation. And this should be a nice comfortable stretch, so if it's too much, ease off slightly. Slide the foot slightly further away if you need to. Make the rotation smaller. Just try and enjoy the stretch. And release. Inside of that foot comes against the thigh, and let that knee drop out. And again, adapt it. If it's really, really uncomfortable, take it there. If you need to, drop the foot down by the calf muscle. By this side's a lot tighter. You see my knee's a lot higher this side. Just let it relax down. Get yourself comfortable before we move on. Try and keep your body twisted towards the front. Very easy to twist towards that bent leg. And then from there, sit tall, retract the chin, and fold slightly from the waist. Some of you aren't going to move at all here. So I'm a lot less flexible on this side. I'm really feeling that in the hip. And release. Next one, you have a choice. Those that don't like this next one can sit with your legs wide. So in this sort of position, again on your block if you need to. Those that can, soles of the feet together. Holding the insteps. And if your feet will open out, they don't have to stay up together. You can let the tops of the feet open out. Let those legs ease down. Now, elbows against the knees. Gently. Now, without using the arms for resistance and without allowing the arms to move, just a gentle push up, 30 or so percent of maximum. Just pushing up gently against the knees. Give it a little bit of relaxation, a little bit of an isometric stretch, and release the knees. If you want to give them a rest, up and back, you can, and we're going to do that once more. So the elbows or forearms rest against the knees, and you're going to gently push the knees up against the arms with a little bit of resistance. And release. You shake out. Okay, from there we're going to come up to standing. So you can either come up however you want, or we're going to do a Pilates roll up. So on 4 fours. Straighten the legs and slowly roll up. So balance today, I know we did a little bit as part of the warm-up, but what I want you to do is start with your posture again, so you know, feet hip width. Watch you're not standing forward on your hips or sticking your bottom out. shoulder blades back down in your back pockets, fingertips in alignment, chin retracted. So you've got that nice line down through the body, weight evenly on both sides. Now, I'm going to suggest you put your hands onto your hips so that you can feel what's going on. Gauge the core. And you're going to try and keep that pelvis as still as possible as you first of all lift onto your toe. And then lift that foot off the floor. This mat I'm standing on is really, really thick. It's lovely and warm for my feet, but it makes it really hard to balance. Really have to use all those muscles in my core. If you're really struggling, keep that toe on the ground. So Jude, definitely on your bad, when you're standing on your bad side, you might even have the ball of your foot on the floor, really using your core. Okay, and release, change sides. Engage the core, exactly the same thing again. Don't allow that hip to lift or drop as you lift that toe. And lift, woo. If you're wobbling, then you know that you're working relatively hard. Those muscles are working hard. If you're stationary, well done, it means you're really strong. And hold as long as you can. Rest down. Okay, we're going to do another one as well. Feet together this time, and I want you to take your right foot in front of your left foot, heel and toe touching. Okay, if you can't hold it at all there, if that is too much for you, either bring the foot slightly in front or slightly out to the side. So if you have to, what I want you to be is just on the edge of control, and hands whatever feels good for you. Prayer position sometimes works nicely, or pushing onto your hips feels good as well. That probably is that gives you the most help with your pelvis. So possibly using the hands is a safer one, but out here is good too. Engage your core will help. Feel all those little muscles in your pelvis, in your tummy, even in your arms, helping you balance. And release, shake it out. Other foot in front, exactly the same thing. So if you can, one directly in front of the other, heel and toe touching. If not, take it slightly forward, whatever you need to do. Stand tall. Remember, head in line. If you look down, your weight's going to be off. Do what you need to do and hold that balance. A moment longer if you can. Now, we started late, so I'm going to go on for another 10 minutes or so if everyone's happy. It is 10:30 though, so if anyone had another meeting and needs to get off, then please do. I am recording this one, so the 6 of you that are here can have the recording if you want to redo the class another time. Okay, and rest. Give it a shake out. So this time, legs wide. This time I'm not too worried if your feet are turned out slightly. Arms up. And we're going to take the weight. So again, Jude, I think maybe you're going to leave this one out. You can do it on your good side maybe, but you're not going to do it both sides. We're going to take it across. If you need to keep the toe down, do, but if you can lift it, do. Really going to feel that in the side of that hip. And release. Coming back to the other side. And release. So Jude, if you want something different to do, you could go back to trying to use your pelvis here and just taking the weight off one foot and really using your core instead. But everybody else, I'd like you to at least try. Watch your toes aren't too far turned out. If they're pointing forward, you're really going to get this muscle here that controls the hip movement and keeps it in the right position forward. Trying to keep that balance. Ooh, I can really feel that muscle kicking in and release. Taking it over to the other side. Well done. Okay, I am going to take you back down to the floor now. So Pilates roll down, get down however you can. And we're going to do a little bit more on our tummies. I just felt on that last exercise we did, my piriformis really beginning to kick in. Sorry, my piriformis. So I want to make sure we do plenty of glute stretches before we finish. But we're going to do one more tummy exercise. This time, the dead bug. So remember for dead bug, have a watch before we do it. If you don't want to take your head off the ground, you can use a block underneath. Bring the knees in one at a time and then take them to tabletop. And you're hinging from the hip, so it's that 90-degree, quite hard, touching the toes towards the floor. You're not bending the knee, so the movement is all from the hip. You really have to control the core to stop the back arching. You might want to put your hand underneath to see what's going on. Those that want to can add an opposite arm. I can't, I'm too close to the wall. I'm going to leave mine out due to the fact I am too close to the wall. Just dropping the toes towards the floor. I'm going to come have a pee. So I can't see Anne or Liz, but I can see everybody else looks good, and I think Anne and Liz usually get this one right, so I'm not too worried. You'll soon know if you got it wrong because you won't feel it as hard in your tummy. When you've had enough, hug it in. That one's quite hard. I've had enough on that one already. Okay, taking the right ankle onto the left knee and opening out through the hip. And you can either stay in that position, you can come up onto your elbows with me, or if you get really tight, I think it's probably only Anne. Hands are however's comfortable. This is all about getting that stretch through that hip muscle. So ankle is on the knee, leg away, and I'm really feeling that stretch down here, in the back of the buttock. And release. Lying back down if you need to. If you can get the foot on there comfortably, then don't worry. Ankle of the other knee, open out. Then again. Oh, that feels good. So if you've been spending a lot of time sitting down the last couple of weeks, really might help to relieve a few aches and pains. Okay. So from there, let's go into a hamstring stretch. So if you need to, grab a strap. I'm looking for a straight leg, supporting the leg. So watch that you support the leg. I like to hold the hands on the side, either with your strap or with your hands around the calf or the thigh. Feeling that stretch in the back of the knee. And then, haven't done this one for a while. I don't think I've done this one live streaming or in the classes while we've been back. So it's a while since we've done it. I want you to take that leg close. So it's, remember we do the figure 4 and I said take it in tight so the leg comes in tight over the top. And then you hug in, grabbing the back leg if you can. And that really stretches through the side of the leg. So for those that want to, the other way of doing this one is you can actually just hold the leg in that position and let the other knee down. You've got that in that position. And release. So again, Jude, you need to be a little bit cautious with your bad side. Leg comes up. Nice straight leg, supporting it, either with a strap, hands on the calf, or on the thigh. Feeling that stretch, probably in the back of the knee, and just bring it as close as you can. If you can't quite get the leg straight, as long as you're feeling that stretch, that elongation in the back of the knee, you're doing the right thing. You can always point and flex if you want. Flexing actually also engages the calf muscle, and I often find seems to loosen the back of the knee. And taking that leg close over to the other one, hugging those knees in. And again, that's the option, or to grab the foot across to feel that down. And then one last, bringing the knees in into happy baby. So opening the legs wide and grabbing feet, open out through the hips. And again, for those that are happy to, from there you can bring the feet together and do that butterfly stretch again that we did up seated, opening out through the hips. Really getting some movement in the hips. And again, Jude, I'm guessing you're not going to go anywhere near this one. And release. Coming up in your own time. I'm going to bring you back up into the feed. And I've no idea. I suspect you can all talk to each other, but I can't hear any of you.